Maybe you feel misunderstood. I mean, after all, you've got great intentions of nurturing and caring for these kids, contributing to their well-being. But it seems like anything good that you do just gets overlooked, and you become the target of criticism and possibly even sabotage.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Blended Family Coaching Show, where you'll discover how to move your step family from just surviving to truly thriving.
Grab your headphones and listen in as we share practical, real-life strategies for building healthy bonds,
Understanding the kids' perspective,
romance and partnership,
parenting with great teamwork.
and yes, even co-parenting with a difficult ex.
We're Mike and Kim Anderson, and we believe with the right tools, every step couple can overcome the common challenges of step family life.
Join us for authentic and sometimes comical conversations to discover how you can lead your family with confidence and create the future you really want. Well, welcome to episode 44.
Hello, hello.
Today, we're going to be pondering some thoughts on why your spouse's ex might view you as the enemy.
Bum, bum, bum.
Not a fun topic, but definitely worth exploring and a difficult dynamic we all need to talk about. But before we jump in, we would be really grateful if you'd be willing to leave us a rating or a review over on Apple Podcasts or wherever you might be listening
That's
today.
right.
So
That's
welcome
right.
to the show.
Yes. You know, when you marry someone with kids and their ex is still in the picture, as you being the newcomer to these dynamics, you probably start out with really great expectations, right? After all, you have good intentions. You're excited about loving and supporting your spouse and helping them to raise their children. Usually, you know, I know as a stepdad, I came in with a desire to be an asset to the family, to be loving and contribute to, and to bring value really to
Yeah,
everyone. And in the beginning, it might seem like that's going to be fairly simple.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, right?
Right? Your partner loves you. You can't wait for all this blending to happen, and the family and the kids and all that. Even the kids might even be warming up to you. Things might be going well in the beginning, and you're thinking, well, what could possibly go wrong? But somewhere along the way, you start to realize that your spouse's ex seems to have a real problem with you. It might be just an uncomfortable feeling you get whenever you're around them. Maybe they seem suspicious of your intentions, or they become overly protective of the kids in some way. They might try to turn the kids against you or even restrict your contact with the kids.
Yeah.
Maybe they give your spouse a hard time about bringing you around and getting you into the picture and all of that. And they just start to stir up conflict when they know that the kids are going to be spending time with you.
Yeah. Now, we hate to make generalizations, but this usually happens to stepmoms.
Right.
They unknowingly step into the line of fire of that bio mom simply by marrying the father of her kids.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure it can and does happen between bio and stepdads as well, but it's generally the bio mom who really doesn't appreciate having another mother figure in her kids' lives.
Sure.
And I get that. I'm a bio mom. It's hard. They kind of get that mama bear thing going, and they can become really upset and sometimes even very protective over their territory and their kids. So this is a difficult thing.
It comes out in lots of different ways.
Yeah. And we've heard many stories from well-intentioned, lovely stepmoms who are just stamped. They're deemed unacceptable by their spouse's ex-wife.
Yep.
And these stepmoms really struggle to understand where all this animosity is coming from and why they can't all just be friendly and work together to raise the kids.
It can be confusing
Yeah, it
sometimes.
can be
That's right.
blindsiding.
Yeah, you're right. You know, we've coached lots of step couples who've experienced varying degrees of pushback from that ex that seems irrational, sometimes even bizarre, right? One dad we know had visitation with his kids denied by his ex-wife just because he was planning to include his new wife in his visitation times. Like she was able to actually block some stuff there. We've heard stories of the police being called and false accusations made because an ex-wife was upset that her kids were spending time with her ex's new partner. Sometimes the kids are told lies about their stepmom and they're encouraged to act disrespectfully toward her. They're actually told, go be mean to her. One stepmom made this statement about her husband's ex-wife. She says, She doesn't even know me. We've never even really met, yet she hates me.
Yeah, that's a common thing for a stepmom to feel.
Yeah. And, we connected with one woman who was being threatened physically by her partner's ex. And she felt really vulnerable and actually was genuinely afraid for her safety.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
This can be really extreme. And there's a big spectrum between, some of us just discomfort all the way to like what this story was, where she really literally felt afraid for her safety. So it can manifest as subtle disapproval or a negative attitude, but it can be also very extreme and volatile. But to whatever degree that it comes at you, if you're the new spouse, kind of on that receiving end, you're the step parent, or again, in most cases, a stepmom, it can be hurtful and confusing. Yeah. Maybe you feel misunderstood. I mean, after all, you've got great intentions of nurturing and caring for these kids, contributing to their well-being. But it seems like anything good that you do just gets overlooked, and you become the target of criticism and possibly even sabotage.
Yeah. So if that's you, we're here to say that, first of all, we're just so sorry that you're experiencing this. And today we're going to give you some insights into why this might be happening, because it's good to understand, and we're glad you're here. And also, if you're a bio parent, and maybe you're both, maybe you're a bio and a step parent, and maybe you're a bio parent that's been feeling a little apprehensive or maybe even threatened by your ex's new spouse, and you're listening here today, we're glad you're here too. Because mutual understanding, cooperation, and peace between your kids as two homes is really what you want. And that's what your kids need the most.
That's right.
So that's what we're going for. Now, this episode, we're just going to give you some things to think about. We'll help you understand some of the most common reasons why your husband's ex-wife might be treating you really badly, so that you can gain some insights around why these dynamics are so challenging. And in next week's episode, we'll offer some strategies and helpful tips for creating more peace and cooperation between the two homes, even if the ex dislikes you.
That's right.
There are some things you can do.
That's right.
So let's explore some possible motives that could be driving the animosity. And we'll go ahead and refer to these as coming from an ex-wife towards the stepmom, since that seems to be the most common scenario between the two homes. So that's the reference point we're going to work from today.
Yeah, definitely. Now, before we dive in, we've got to talk about one of the most frustrating realities of this dynamic, and that is that there often seems to be a double standard going on in this scenario. So here's what we mean. In many cases, this ex-wife has already recoupled or remarried herself. And so she integrates this new partner with the kids and expects the kids to lovingly accept him. She sees nothing wrong with her new spouse spending, one-on-one time with him, and the kids including him in all these different aspects of their lives. And so she's freely moved on to create her new kind of quote unquote happily ever after. But when the ex-husband recouples and tries to do the same, she's going to react with some strong disapproval. This happens a lot.
Yeah.
Well, what seems to be good for her to move on and recouple is just not okay for him. And the reality is, this is just connected to some really strong emotions inside of her. And some of it, when we examine it, it's not that surprising, actually,
really
even though
not.
it feels so unfair on the outside, right? But really, one of the emotions really is rooted in feelings of insecurity. Many bio moms are worried that their kids are going to enjoy and they're going to bond with the other woman, right? Their stepmom in the other home, and that they're going to show her some recognition and affection that should be hers alone.
Yeah.
I'm the real mom. Like, that's reserved for me. And so she might be really threatened, which creates that insecurity. She might be anxious about being replaced or having to share her kids with this other woman that she doesn't know and really hasn't even given her approval to.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a strong emotion.
Yeah. Another emotion that could be happening is rooted in feelings of jealousy. Maybe she doesn't want to be married to her ex anymore, but she doesn't want anyone else to have him either.
Yeah.
Maybe she feels that he should remain single because seeing him with another woman creates emotions that are uncomfortable for her.
Yeah.
Because it can be tough. Just because a couple divorces doesn't mean that the relational dynamics aren't still at play. It can be really tough.
You kind of had a hard time when your ex remarried.
I did.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Yep.
Also, lack or loss of control can bring about challenging emotions that lead to that double standard mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, the truth is, when something feels out of our control or it feels unknown, this can intensify our sense of protection.
Sure.
To protect our kids from that unknown person, that outsider that we don't know anything about. We intimately know the person that we've brought into our children's lives, right? We know our partner and we have full control over who we expose our kids to, but we don't have that control over who our ex chooses. And we don't know anything about them.
Yeah.
So it makes us feel really powerless. We've lost some control there. Now, because these emotions, and there could be a lot of other emotions going on, this is why this double standard, which doesn't seem fair or make sense, but this is why an ex-wife might be struggling. It's those underlying emotions that are very real and often really painful.
Yeah.
Especially if she has some unresolved grief around the loss of her first marriage and the breakup of her family. She could still be struggling. It can be almost impossible for her to have good feelings towards her ex's new spouse if she's still processing her own loss, pain, and disappointment.
Yeah, that's really true. So if you're experiencing that, that double standard, we get it. You know, it's really challenging, and we want you to get it too.
It's also very common.
We
hear about it a lot.
Yeah. And whether that double standard is present or not, exes still have a lot of emotions, and they tend to spill out on your home. In most cases, it's going to happen. And as a stepmom, you might be really hurt or even offended. But I want you to remember something. The bio mom's opinions of you are often assumptions, and they're based on things like history and fears and emotional stress and misunderstandings. And a lot of times, those may not have anything to do with you. It's really easy to take her comments and her attacks personally, but here's what the founder of Stepmom Help, Jenna Korp, has to say. She doesn't hate you, she hates what you represent.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's a simple statement,
exactly.
But say it again.
Let me say that again.
It's so profound.
She doesn't hate you, she hates what you represent. Think of all that you might represent to your husband's ex-wife. Maybe you're a threat to her exclusive position as mom with the kids. Maybe you're all that she's not in her own mind. You're that woman her ex-husband became a different, better man for, and you make him happier than she was ever able to do. Maybe you're the woman that now gets treated better than she ever did by him. See, it's easy for the ex to start comparing herself to you, and when their perception is that maybe they fell short somewhere along the way, now you become even more of a threat.
Yeah, and you have to remember that divorce is often feels like a failure.
Yeah.
So you're picking up where they failed.
We're so excited to let you know about something brand new we've created just for you.
We've realized that with so many episodes available here on the show, it might feel a bit overwhelming to find the topics that matter most to you. That's why we've created a simple tool for you to receive a personalized playlist focused on your current struggle or your biggest challenge.
That's right. It's called the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz. You'll answer just a few questions, and based on your responses, we'll email you a curated custom playlist of episodes that are specific to you.
This simple quiz will direct you to the most impactful episodes that pertain to you personally and keep you on track in your journey of discovery, learning, and growth. So, scroll all the way to the bottom of the show notes for this episode and click the link to take the Blended Family Breakthrough Quiz today.
Okay, let's get back to the discussion. That's right. Now, from her perspective, you could be the representation of many challenges. You might symbolize or stir up things in her that she doesn't even know how to cope with or just isn't ready to face yet. Maybe resentment, inadequacy, fear, insecurity, anger, vindication, possessiveness, envy, suspicion. I mean, there could be all kinds of other things that we haven't even identified.
Yeah.
But she's focused maybe more on what you represent than on you as a person.
Yeah. And, in all probability, these troubling emotions that are getting stirred up in her, again, have nothing to do with you personally. So try to keep that at the forefront of your mind when you feel like you're being attacked or you're wrongfully judged. Before you react or become emotionally upset yourself or attack back, remember that she's probably not coming from a place of personal attack against you, but she's just having a really hard time coping with her own emotional struggles around all of this. It can be a lot. So try not to take it personally. We say this a lot, but to survive in a blended family, you've got to have a thick skin.
That's right. It's harder than it sounds.
So when something pops up, a rude comment or a blatant attack against you, you might just remember this point that we're discussing here by asking yourself a really simple question. I wonder what she could be worried about right now. This simple thought might be able to calm your own emotions so that you can put those aside and instead move to a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
The goal is to be able to empathize with her rather than just having to stuff your own emotions or getting offended or stirring up drama, whatever usually happens. If you can approach her from a place of curiosity and wonder what might be going on. What are her fears?
Lots of moms worry. And
Lots of moms worry.
Ask that question of what might she be worried about.
Or even put yourself in her shoes. If I were the bio mom, how would I feel in these circumstances?
Yeah. So she's not focused on you as a person, but she's focused on what you represent.
Your position.
Now, another reason that bio mom might be having a hard time accepting you is because she actually doesn't know you and really isn't sure of your character.
Sure.
Right? You guys might be really distant and maybe you haven't spent much time around each other. And it's easy for that mama bear instinct, like Kim mentioned, to kick in when mom is forced to send her precious little children off to spend time with the other woman who she knows very little about.
Yep.
You can't assume that she's just automatically going to trust you with her kids just because their dad trusts you with them.
No.
This can create anxiety for a mom. She might feel like she isn't doing a good job protecting her kids if she hasn't vetted this new person, you, right? Or had a chance to evaluate them in any way. Do they have a good character? Are they safe? Will they be good to my kids? Or, do they really know? Is this person going to be mean to my kids? Are they going to cross the line of even abusing my kids? Are they going to put them in a dangerous situation, scar them for life?
Sure.
Like, these are the worries that comes up to a mom's heart, right? And this might sound over the top, but really for a loving mom, it can feel negligent to expose the kids to someone that they just don't know and they can't really trust yet.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
Yeah. Now, this can be especially tough for a mom who doesn't trust their ex, right? So him trusting you doesn't matter worth a hill of beans to her because she doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
So if there's been concerns in the past about him, making sure the kids are safe or their well-being is being attended to while they're at their dad's house, or if in her perspective, dad has already shown poor judgment, maybe he's exposed the kids to people that she deems unhealthy or detrimental to the kids, right? She's going to have in her mind anybody that he may have dated before you.
Yeah.
And those are things she's comparing you to, but she doesn't actually know you.
Yeah. Stepmom is going to get lumped in with what she thinks of
That's
dad.
right.
Unfortunately, that's just how it is because she doesn't have anything else to go off of. Honey, you use the word perspective here. In her perspective, we have to remember everyone in a blended family, and this includes everyone in both homes, they all have different perspectives.
Yeah.
So you might think that your husband's ex-wife is behaving irrationally and that her concerns are unfounded, but from her unique perspective, she's behaving responsibly, and she's got to be guarded and careful when it comes to her children who she loves. And painful things that have happened in the past with her ex, your spouse, will have an impact on her current perspective. Things that, again, have nothing to do with you personally.
Yeah, totally. I think that's so interesting. You know, you've used the word, I think both of us have used the word, that mama bear thing, right? You think about it. You're out in the middle of the woods. You come between mama bear and her babies.
You're going down.
Well, you are, but the reality is you're innocent because you don't have any like ill will toward these little babies. You probably got your camera out and are all excited about seeing little baby cubs. You're not
going to hurt them.
That's right. But she's going to come and get you anyway.
Yeah.
And so kind of makes sense.
Yeah. They're going to jump to the worst possible conclusion in that scenario.
Just like mama bear. Yeah.
And so that brings us to our next common reason why your spouse's ex may not like you. And it's when they perceive that you've crossed a boundary.
Again, so we're still talking about their perspective.
Yep.
And their perspective is you've just crossed a boundary that she doesn't want you to cross.
So let's just put a scenario out there. If Bio Mom is on Facebook and she happens to see some pictures of her kids posted on your page and you've referred to the kids as yours, that could bring out those mama bear instincts.
That never happens, right? Yeah.
Those
Instagram,
are not your
Facebook,
kids. Those are my kids.
Right.
Yeah. Or if you've been included in parenting events, such as teacher-parent conferences or things like doctor's appointments, it can be really easy for a bio mom to get triggered and to feel that her territory is being threatened. She believes that you're overstepping and infringing on her role as mom. This can happen really inadvertently.
Yeah, absolutely. We just trip into this one a lot of the time. You know, one of the most meaningful things for any bio parent are these things we call important milestones in their children's life. And when a boundary of a milestone gets crossed, even if it's unintentional, it can cause a lot of resentment and anger, a feeling of loss.
Yes.
A lot of emotions are tied to this. So let's talk about this for just a minute. A meaningful milestone could be all kinds of different things to each individual parent.
Sure.
They represent those first childhood experiences that a bio parent really wants to be a part of. So maybe the child's first time at a theme park like Disneyland or Universal Studios, or their first time going to the movies, or the first sporting event or concert, really any special or significant event that's a first time, the circus, the fair, the parade, whatever it might be. For some parents, meaningful milestones might be, you know, chaperoning a child's special school outing, right? In the band bus, right? Or chaperoning for a sporting event or cheerleading, or anything like that. It might be helping the child prepare for a special occasion, like shopping for the first dance or the prom.
Sure.
Maybe altering a child's appearance, such as cutting hair, getting a piercing, anything unusual clothing that maybe is different than what they've experienced before. Those can be milestones or seen as a rite of passage, right? Teaching a child to ride a bike, to shave, to drive a car. These are meaningful milestones to a parent. And they might even include sensitive conversations about dating or puberty or other intimate topics, right? You know, these meaningful milestones are so important to the heart of a parent, and we dive a lot deeper into this particular subject in a bonus over in our Patreon community. So if you're interested in checking that out, you might want to check out Patreon, which we have a link to in our show notes.
You know, I, again, can relate to this.
Yeah, maybe a few times.
Yeah, my daughter's stepmom definitely crossed the line here with the hair cutting and the first bra shopping and things that I felt was mom territory. But it was really hurtful. And you know what? She didn't mean to. The significance of most meaningful milestones is that they only happen once and then they're gone.
That's right.
So for a bio parent, these milestones are really important, and they typically represent one of three things: either something that they've been looking forward to, something they've been planning for, or something that they care deeply about. So you want to be mindful of that. And again, you can go check that out in Patreon if you want to go deeper there. Now, if you're a bio parent listening to this today and you're experiencing some difficult emotions that seem to get triggered around your ex's new partner, maybe you have concerns around that new step parent in the other home, we know how difficult this can be.
Yeah, you especially.
Oh, yes, I have been there. This is a tough thing. Now, back in episode 31, we just call it out. We call out all the awkward, uncomfortable, and difficult things when we're faced with these challenging dynamics, especially the big ones that impact our children, right? Those are the ones that are so close to our heart. So if that's you, you might want to go listen to episode 31 for 3 powerful tips to help you work through these tough realities that are really challenging. It's common to be challenged with this.
Yeah. And we'll link to that in the show notes. It's called 3 Unexpected Ways to Improve How You Cope with Your Ex. And it's for bio parents, but it's for step parents as well, because it can give us all a healthy, grounded perspective and some practical tools to move us forward. And this is important stuff, because how you choose to approach your parenting coalition, that includes everyone who's invested in raising these kids, working through conflict and finding ways to cooperate, really handling all of this well, can make a huge difference in the amount of peace that everyone will experience in both homes. And it can create the best possible experience for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
So we want to just encourage you to go check out episode 31 when you finish this one. Now, stepmoms, you might be feeling a little bit beat up or maybe even defeated if your husband's ex has been giving you a hard time, either directly or indirectly. But we want you to remember that the contempt that you're feeling from her toward you is most likely based on your position, not your personhood. Keep that in mind. It's not about you, it's about what you represent. And that does not minimize the reality that this is really hard and it's frustrating, it's hurtful, and it might feel kind of hopeless right now. Yet when you can stay in that curious mindset that Kim talked about earlier, rather than getting defensive, you might find that you discover an ability to have more compassion and patience with her than you thought.
Yeah, exactly. And we have some more good news for you. Next week, we'll be helping you discover a few practical steps and new mindset shifts so that you can gradually overcome this challenging situation and really make a difference. So make sure that you make your way back here next Tuesday. And in the meantime, don't forget to leave us a rating or a review.
Yep, that's right. So that makes this episode a wrap.
Until next time.